Okay, hello everyone. Robin and Dennis with Outwitting the Manipulator, outwitinrealtime.com. This is a special episode. We can't resist commenting and chiming in on the big debate between Andrew Wilson and Candace Owens. As you know, Dennis and I, we're not here to talk politics or anything like that. We're here to examine and evaluate manipulation in real time. And this debate was rich and rife with many, many, many examples. So this episode may go a little longer than usual, but we are not going to, by any means, identify every single manipulative tactic in this debate because, frankly, it would go on for probably 10 hours. Don't you think, Dennis?
It could be, that's for sure.
Yeah. So Dennis is much more analytical than I am, and he's written everything down. I more shoot from the hip intuitively. So you're going to get both insights, and we hope that works for everyone. So Dennis, you had mentioned right before this, you and I discussed. Dennis has created something that's been highly successful at the speech improvement company called communication style coaching, where you identify your communication style that you have and you identify the communication style you would like to have. And then we coach you to change your style, ideally being more effective. So, Dennis, please take it away because you are the expert on communication style, and that was your first insight.
Yeah, I mean it comes right out the gate, and I'm sure everybody knows it, and everybody expected it, that the styles were tremendously different. Uh, I want to first begin because is important to style. I want to begin by this word debate. Okay, let's agree, folks, that this was not a debate.
No.
Okay, oftentimes, no, not oftentimes, almost every time we hear that there's going to be a debate on this topic or that topic between these two people or whatever, it's not really a debate. So it's important to recognize that as Robin and I get into this, that this is not a debate. Now, what is that? If I'm talking about what's not, what is it? A debate is something where you have two viewpoints on something, some issue, represented by, maybe two people, and each one gives their viewpoint and so forth, and what their evidence is and all of that. However, a debate has a judge. Now, this third person who was there was not really a judge. He was more of a moderator. What was his name?
They
PD?
call him PBD.
PBD. Yeah, yeah. This guy was more of a moderator, which I thought he did a pretty good job with, actually. But he was not a judge. So in a debate, the two sides present their viewpoints, their evidence, and so forth. And then the third party, the judge, a jury, whoever, the third party is, makes a decision about who was right in this debate, who won the debate. Okay, so this was not a debate. Like almost everything we see, we hear a debate between so and so. They're not really debates. Now, of course, I understand that the listeners will be the judge, but it's not a formal debate. Let's start with that. So, what that means is that the debate rules don't necessarily apply. So in actual debate, you have timing and you have all sorts of rules that you have to go by, and you can't go past them or you're eliminated from the debate. That did not happen here. So I know we're calling it a debate, Robin, but let's be sure it's not a debate. Okay, so what is it? It's a discussion, exchange of views from two people, not necessarily timed or judged in that way. The opening statements were more or less timed. He had 3 minutes or 4 minutes. They didn't need a.
Dennis, I just have to pause you. I don't want to lose the thread because I prompted you and now you're getting deep into the weeds. So I don't want the listener who's waiting for the answer to the prompt about communication style to get lost.
So now what do you want to
Well, I just was waiting. I understand it's not a
do?
debate, it's a conversation, but let's get to the analysis of the. Sorry, so actually this makes the point that Dennis and I wanted to make for you. I have what's called a deductive pattern of reasoning, and Dennis has an inductive pattern of reasoning. And they're responsible for almost all communication breakdowns. which means that Dennis prefers the details. He leads with the details. I need and prefer the bottom line. So and this is why we think our podcast is really good for our listeners, is because we bring those two different styles. And that's something we want to identify for you today. So my brain is now lost because I had brought up communication style, and Dennis is going deep into the weeds about defining what a debate versus a conversation is. Nothing wrong with that, except he's lost me as a listener.
Now,
So
you see, folks, this is one of the things that every conversation has, all of them, whatever you communicate. Robin and I are not intentionally, but we're demonstrating it right now. And this happened throughout the debate. So it's important to know that this was not a debate, it was a discussion, and the style of each of the speakers played into that. And it played an important role because at one point they switched styles. And that's what we'll get into a little bit as we go through here. But I wanted to point out that this is not a debate. It was a discussion, animated and so forth. So, Robin, you pick it up from there. Where do you like to go?
And he's always so kind and understanding. So I just want to say that we are always, as communication coaches, assessing and analyzing our own effectiveness. So you can imagine how much fun our world is. I think I liked what you said when we were prepping, which was you were talking about their communication styles. If you could
Yeah.
describe those, Dennis, because
Yeah.
you said the styles are different, but how? What are the adjectives for the differing communication styles?
It was interesting because they somewhat switched styles throughout. So typically, both of them have their own style in their own podcast because they're the only one on the mic and they can do whatever they do. In this case, they were together. So they had their own styles, but there were occasions where they switched styles. Let me give you an example. Uh, if you noticed throughout the debate, he had an he expressed an attitude, which you got visually through his facial expression and the things that he was saying.
The
He expressed
nonverbal
a
was
very
huge.
strong nonverbal behavior, a lot of smiling, a sort of relaxed. If you're on stream with us, you can see as I'll demonstrate. He had a lot of leaning on his chin like this and so forth, showing a sort of a relaxed, like, this is not really important. Okay, I'll amuse you. Go ahead. Let's go. Let's have a little conversation. Tone about the nonverbal. And then his verbal behavior sort of matched that until the opposite with her, with Candace. She was almost unmovable. Her whole body language, facial expression, everything, hands, her leg positions, all didn't change hardly at all during the whole thing. She expressed a much more serious style. She did smile a lot, mostly at him.
I want to just do a deep dive on smiles. I just want to put that out there. We don't have to do it right this second, but the smile is just
Yeah,
a generic term, but the smile is huge and
huge.
very different kinds of smiles were happening.
Yeah.
But also to your point about Candace's stance, this is what I coach women when they want to command authority is being squared up and feet flat on the ground, not crossing your legs or crossing your ankles or shifting your
Mhm.
weight. And she did a great job of maintaining that. Probably was easier because she's 7 months pregnant. You really can't do that
Well, her legs
easily.
were crossed the whole time. She crossed legs the entire time, and I think only
She
changed
didn't cross her
once.
legs.
She did, yes.
Oh, she did.
Yes, she did the entire show, entire debate, and she only changed it one time. But she was very stable, as you're pointing out. The
I
rest of
see. I
her
thought she
body
didn't.
did not move. Her facial expression was dynamic. She did have hand gestures and all of that. That was fine.
But
Uh,
he did the classic thing, Dennis, that I
oh,
know we've told almost every male client, which is that nervous leg,
oh,
that
all the time.
shaking leg. I have had grown, polished, successful men have that leg going 100 miles an hour underneath a
Yeah,
conference table. And I've said to them, do you think I don't know your leg is doing that? Because no one's going to tell you but your coach, right? People aren't going to tell you because you're a higher up. Everyone knows, and you've
yeah.
got to control it. And we give them
Yeah.
means and ways to control it. But that was a huge tell.
The entire
Huge.
the entire time. I don't think it stopped even once. So yes, there were nonverbal things that from the get-go, from the very beginning, were saying this is what the style is. Now I didn't know whether it was going to change, but it never changed either one of them. Slightly a little bit with him, a little, and he got to her a little bit, but for the most part, their style nonverbally was defined right from the very beginning. Now, while you were talking about this smile, Robin, let me just jump to
Hmm.
something because his smile was, let's say,
Contemptuous.
contentious, maybe contentious.
Contempt.
Yes, disrespectful. Didn't respect her
How do
viewpoint on
we know
things.
that, Dennis? Let's talk
Okay.
about how we know that as a coach, communication coach.
Yeah, when she would say something that to her was very important, very valuable in the judgment, if you were judging it by a debate, coach, was very important piece of evidence. This is where he would not only smile, sometimes he would actually chuckle a little bit,
Yes.
showing contempt, like, "Oh, you got to be kidding! That's not gonna." Okay, he did that
This
a
is really
lot.
important for the people that we're helping with manipulation because this is a very subtle tactic that can
Mm-hmm.
be deniable, plausibly.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do that. So you see it. So what do we talked about in other episodes, micro expressions. Contempt is an asymmetrical expression.
Mm-hmm.
It's not symmetrical and it happens in can happen in a fraction of a second. So
Mm-hmm.
you feel it more than you
Mm-hmm.
can see it
Mm-hmm.
almost.
An
He,
interesting point about that specific thing with timing, Robin, because throughout the debate, four-fifths of the debate, he had the same smile, same type of smile, except near the end of the debate, she pressed him. And as she'd been doing the whole way, but she pressed him and she came up with some points that he didn't quite either wasn't prepared for or couldn't answer. And that smile, which had been through the whole debate, a defense mechanism to throw her off, and it lasted about 4 seconds. This one lasted 1 second. One
hmm
second. Now, what did that
hmm
tell me? It told me that whatever her commentary was, it threw him off. He
hmm
didn't have the ability to construct the same manipulative tactic of smiling that he had been using. It threw him off, and you
Well, I
could
want
feel.
to underscore what you're saying, Dennis, because that was a powerful observation. I think a lot of people would miss that unless they just turn the sound off and
Yeah.
watch it with no sound, because the listening distracts from the nonverbal. But your whole thing about how he has a large smile, because there's a whole spectrum of smiling from tiny to huge.
Mhm.
He has a large smile that drops quickly. So it doesn't
Mhm.
slowly go down or slowly dissipate as it would
Right.
if you just laughed at
Right.
a joke authentically, or these are gradual releases of a smile happen as you're saying something nice and then I go back down, but I know we're on a
Mhm.
podcast. So but it drops like a thud.
Mhm.
And if you notice this, as Dennis is mentioning, this is a classic manipulator
Mhm.
nonverbal expression because their mask falls
Mhm.
for a
Which,
second.
yes, and if you are aware of that, and as we've been teaching you, if you are aware of these little tells that your manipulator has, you will know that you are doing something appropriate and effective. But Robin's exactly right. It drops, it changes quickly, very quickly. And this happened to him. I really only noticed it one time. He was pretty good at controlling it, but she really got it with him on this one time. So this is a good thing to talk about briefly here. This smile throughout worked for him as a tactic. It was intended to, okay, yeah, it's cute, it's not, we don't take it seriously. That's a funny thing. Oh, it's humorous. All of that countering her, what she of course believed was very serious evidence, and he discounted it with a smile, at
Or
least a
a
smile
chuckle.
or a chuckle. Yes.
The chuckle, he uses the chuckle a lot
Mm-hmm.
and an eye roll.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's dismissive of what the person's saying.
Now, I'll tell you one reason that gets used. This is a little, I don't want to be too deep with this, but this is why that happens in the manipulator. Why does that happen? Because the manipulators are so good. They practice this stuff. They
Yeah.
practice how they're going to smile. They even look in the mirror to say, is this too big a smile? Is this too?
Yep.
They practice it. Believe us, folks. This is a thing that they practice, smile, because it's so powerful. Okay. There was a technique, a tactic that she was using throughout the debate. Well, not throughout, but as it picked up within the first, I would say, 10 minutes or so, she used it a lot, and he didn't know quite how to handle it. And after a while, he really didn't know how to handle it. She was using a tactic that is not necessarily a nefarious tactic, but it's called, this is going to be an unusual term for you, for everybody probably. This is a tactic that communicators use called the Gish Gallop. Now, what is that? Gish Gallop is, you often see it in actual debates or in a jury, for example. But when someone is trying to befuddle you, confuse you, lose you, uh, overwhelm you, as to use one of the charged words of the debate, uh, you use this thing called Gish Gallop. Now, what is it? The Gish Gallop is named after some guy, 50 years ago, whatever. We don't care about that. But Gish Galloping is an attempt to state what you consider to be facts, information, one after the other, very quick. So if you said, uh, uh, if you want to describe a scene, for example, you would describe everything in the scene. Well, the grass was important because there was blood on it, but then, of course, the bushes had lots of things happening because of the automobile. But the automobile is the thing that most of all, we watch the tire tracks on the automobile, and all of that happened, of course, in the daylight. And of course, in the daylight, the sun was there were shadows. You hear what I'm giving you now? There's a lot of different things in there.
Dennis,
Okay.
yes, I agree with you. I don't know if it was a tactic or a style.
No, I'll tell you why it's not a style. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'll tell you, it's a very good question, Robin. It's a good point. I'll tell you why it was a tactic and not a style. Because those of you who watched the whole debate, every so often there was a break for a commercial. Okay. And the commercials, which they said were 3.5 minutes, wound up being something more like 14 minutes. But okay. In the commercials, which she did, and they were actually PSAs, public service announcements. They weren't really commercial for a product, but no matter. And then there was a clip of her in her studio. Her speed of speaking was very different, very measured, very calculated in a positive way for the message. That was very different than what happened in the actual debate. That's why I'm saying it was
So
a tactic that she planned.
I'm really finding your point fascinating because it's making me think of a lot of things. I just want to pause there. This gender difference.
Mm.
So, one of the things I was accused of in my marriage to a manipulator was talking too fast. I do believe, and I'd love to be provocative, so I do believe that the tendency of females is to be able to think faster and talk faster than males. Not all males, not all females, but generally speaking, I have observed this and lived this, and it is, I would agree with you that it is a tactic because we don't have physical prowess, right? So we may have developed some things to compensate for our lack of physical strength.
Mhm.
And I'm aware of this tactic also in myself and have been accused of it many times. And when I'm thinking about it, putting myself in her shoes or thinking about the situations, it has been a defensive mechanism
Mhm.
of, I want to say viscerally or primally being intimidated by we women are always very aware of the imbalance in the physical of between men and women. So if you go head to head in an argument and a male uses any kind of aggression, we're all programmed to shake a little bit inside, even though we may not show it. So one of the ways we can show strength is by overwhelming with faster talking, and you call it gish galloping or the just onslaught, if you will, trying to do a tsunami to balance. I think that's where it comes from. We don't have to do this isn't a psychology show, so we don't have to dive into that. But I do
Yeah, and
think it's
it's not a
pattern.
bad thing. I think you're right. I see the difference between male female. I want to point out something else, which is also related to the debate. Because this is why I think, as you're saying, females do this more than males. I have a response to that. I think we saw it in the debate. He, if you recall, at the very beginning of the debate, he had one question that he constantly asked, and he said something to, why did what something about being a patsy, that Robinson was a patsy. Uh, and he kept repeating that question. What evidence do you have that shows that he was a patsy? Okay. And he did that all the way through the debate. This is also a tactic where you ask a very provocative question, which you don't think is provocative, but it requires a very specific answer. Now, throughout the debate, his additional style, and he even used the word many times, was to be logical. Okay. What's the logic behind that? What's the logical? If you think
Yet
logically
he
about
was
it,
all
okay.
pathos.
Now that's the interesting thing.
He
This
was
go,
so pathos.
let's
She
let's let's
controlled her pathos amazingly.
okay, absolutely right. Now let's go back to the point that you made about females and males being different using fast talking, let's call it. Uh, why was that in this debate? Whether it's true or not in life, which I think you're right about that. Why is that? Men, let's talk about the debate. He tended to be, at least he wanted to be, at least he tried to show that he was more logical in his processing and in his thinking. Okay.
Not just that. He was trying to act as though he was smarter, and he
Oh,
also
yeah.
he also used that aggression. He tried to like you see two dogs wrestling, and the one pins the other one. He
Mm,
was trying to pin her verbally
mm,
with that when he held his fingers up and started telling her to hurry up and telling
yeah.
her, interrupting her. And he wanted to control that momentum
Mhm.
of the moment,
Which is a very good debate tactic. There's nothing wrong with that. In an actual debate, that's a good tactic if it works.
unless it
Now,
backfires. Yeah.
unless it backfires, that's unless the opposition can control it or is prepared for it, which he remarkably did a good job of. But in a debate, it's a good tactic. Okay, remember now, we're not talking about a debate here. It
But
was
a real
called a
debate,
debate.
Dennis, you're not allowed to interrupt.
That's what I'm saying. There's time limits. There's all sorts of
So,
things. This
right.
was not
So
a
that wouldn't
debate.
be a tactic you could use where he
Oh
stomped
yes.
on and didn't let her finish her sentence. And
No, 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 not that. You can't do that. But you can
that's
use Gish
intimidation.
Galloping.
He tried to use intimidation, and
Right.
that was actually very comical and entertaining for me. She led a master class on not being rattled by that.
Yes, I agree. She did not get rattled by that. And it rattled him that she didn't get rattled about it. That was
Yes, I
a
don't
sort
think
of a
he's
thing.
used to
He's
that.
not used to that.
He's
That's
not
right.
used to that. He's not used to
Yeah.
that. So he was a fish out of water. And that goes back to, I think Baron Coleman did an analysis of this where he said, who prepped him for this? He was
Yeah.
not prepped.
Oh, okay.
He was not
Yeah.
ready for or even didn't seem like he even understood like who he was up against.
Yeah. She was much better prepared with the evidence, so to speak. We'll call it that for the moment. The evidence. Uh, she had specifics in answering it. That was very interesting what they talked about the state law. Was it
Hmm.
Utah? I forget
Hmm.
what that was,
Oh,
Utah or
forget
whatever.
about that. Even the 7 charges. I mean, that's a big takeaway
Oh,
now going
that was a big
viral
one.
because
That was a big
my
one, of course.
goodness. And
Yeah,
and and the so boy, I'll tell you, Dennis, that triggered flashbacks.
yeah,
I had so many arguments with my ex-husband that were so identical to that first moment when she said, "Can you name one?"
yeah.
So I always said arguing with a manipulator is like trying to grab a greased pig, right? They just keep
Hmm.
popping out and popping out and popping out. So when she tried to pin him down on, can you name one? Can you name one? And he says murder. I mean, and she
Yeah.
said, no, it's actually aggravated
Aggravated
murder.
murder. Yeah,
And he said, "Pfft." He
yeah,
just was like,
yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah. What's the
okay.
difference?
And
Yeah,
she goes,
big difference.
no.
There's a
And she
legal
stayed very
difference.
calm.
Yeah,
Now, if she would have, and this is where women are judged way more harshly, if she would have responded, getting really excited. And this is what I want all of our listeners and all of our coaching clients who are listening to know. This is why we talk so much about emotional control. If she had gotten really pissed off about that, because you could hear passion in her, you
Oh
could hear
yeah.
conviction in her,
Oh
but
yeah.
it was controlled. So she knew he was absolutely wrong, that there's a huge difference between murder and aggravated murder.
Hmm.
And she couldn't, I saw in her face that she could not believe he was that dumb. She couldn't believe it. But she had to hold back on that. She had to allow him to save face.
Hmm.
So she could have mopped the floor with him then, but then she would have looked bad and she would have been judged very harshly for
Yeah.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
because she's female. And now we don't have to talk more about that. That the rules are different. The judging is
Mhm.
different between male and female.
Yeah.
And she would have been framed as a B, a big letter
Hmm.
B. So
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
didn't. She educated him patiently, but it was really, really the moment in which it's amazing to me that there's still people online who are saying he won this debate and I mean, that moment, you can't deny what your eyes and ears are telling you, which is he was completely unprepared and didn't know
Well,
what he was talking about. And he tried so hard to diminish her. He tried
yeah.
so hard,
It was
even with
constant,
cold, hard
constant.
evidence.
It was constant invalidation, reframing the truth or reframing the evidence and that sort of a thing. It was constant
And
with that with them.
this is where our our clients learn not to cave.
Hmm.
Most people, most people would cave as soon as that aggression came in.
Hmm.
As soon as that invalidation came in, they would retreat. They
You
would
see,
curl up.
this is a basic difference in style. I'm going to make two styles out of this. He was a very logos guy, tried to be a logos approach. That was
Tried to be. He was
I think
pathos,
that was the
Dennis.
plan. Okay.
He couldn't do it. He's a
She, on
reactive.
the other hand, wanted to be logos and often responded with logos. But as a female, the pathos in her came out in a very expressive way. This is where the Gish galloping came in. She was not poised. She wasn't quiet. She was slow. She was fast. She could have been a lot more specific with him because he was able to jump around from topic to topic, and she tried to control him. But because she was talking so fast, he had to react to things that she said. And she would say four or five things, and he wanted to react to one. And it was methodical, which is perhaps a good idea, but this was not a real debate. And you could interrupt one another. In a real debate, you
I
can't do that. This is where it fell
this is
apart.
not my impression. It's so interesting that we are opposites, both male and female, and opposites in communication styles, right? Deductive and inductive, you and me. Because I did not see that she was pathos. I thought she maintained her logos throughout. I thought he was pathos. I mean, he was all over the place with his facial expressions, and I mean, which for a
What
man,
was your view of her smile?
her smile, I think her smile also had contempt in it.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
I just want to say rightly so. I mean, he was disrespectful.
Yeah, well, let's be straight about this. That smile, which we said before, folks, is so powerful that they both used it. If you didn't see it, you heard it, you wouldn't be able to tell this. They both used it while the other person was speaking
Frequently.
frequently to
And
say,
not a single one of those smiles, not a single one had genuine warmth in it.
no, his or
Not
her.
a single one. They were
No.
all strategic
Yeah.
smiles
Yeah.
to let you know. And there is a difference, right? I wish I could demonstrate it, but
Mhm. Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
most people are listening, but there's like a smile that's warm and welcoming and genuine and authentic that makes you feel like, wow, this person really likes
Mhm.
me. And it's just so nuanced and subtle. And then
Yeah.
there's a smile. I don't know if it lives in the eyes or what. We're not micro expression experts,
But you
but
know it when you see it
you
and you
know
feel
it when
it.
you see it. You
Yeah,
know it. You
right away.
absolutely know
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And both of them used it. I think they didn't. His, I think, were probably a little bit more planned. He wanted to show through that smile because he did it right from the very beginning. He wanted to show, he wouldn't say contempt, but invalidation, disbelief, the fact that nobody could, this is not true, it's not real, you're not serious. He wanted to show all that in the beginning. She didn't do that. Her smile happened when she wanted to invalidate something that he had said, or that she wanted to put more value to what she had said. She'd say something and then smile as though, and she would even say sometimes, right? This has happened. A lot of people have yeah, to Sunny Day Today, right? Implying that you should be agreeing with them when they say right. She did that a lot, and that smile was joined with the right. He didn't pick it up because I don't think he was sensitive enough to pick it up, and he did not want to reward her attempt to that because he knew, because he's used it a lot, that it works. So I want to jump quickly to this while
I
we have some
I
fun.
do want to say that I don't think the smiles land the same either.
No, they
I
did not, of course.
genuinely think that, and I've experienced this. So all of my data R&D is just analyzing, watching people my whole life. I
Mhm.
do think that her smile had more power than his smile, and why is that? I think men care more about making a female happy than the vice versa. So I know I'm making these are my observations. I think when a woman smiles at a man, and she's very attractive. I think it's off-putting, especially for a guy like him. He's clearly not in her league in
Well,
intelligence.
we're not talking about that. I don't know.
No, he's
That's not
not in her
judging
league
that.
in any
That's your
sense.
opinion.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So okay,
It's
you get your
most
viewpoint.
people can tell he's not as smart as her. He's not as fast on his feet. He certainly wasn't prepared as her. And he's definitely not as attractive as her. So
Okay.
I think she
Now we're
had
getting
that
into,
going for
yeah,
her.
I don't know.
I don't care. That
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
communicates, Dennis.
Yeah, of course it does.
And
Of course it does. But
I
it's
think that
also a
that
very
smile
individual thing. It's individual. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, Robin. You know that. And I mean, both of them could be attractive to who knows what. I don't want to get into that. That's not the point of this. It does
why
matter.
not? It's
It
so
does
much
count.
fun.
It
It's so
does
much fun
count.
though.
And people do see it all the time. Of course, of course, there's no question about that. Uh, but if we just stick with the smile for a second, her smile, if you looked at it, another thing she did with her smile was she would make a statement that she thought was true. That's what the law says, right? Okay, she'd make the smile. And then notice she looked to her left and to her right very quickly. I mean, it was in a matter of less than a second. It's a very sunny day, right? Right? She looked to the left and right. What does that mean? That means that that smile and that statement was looking for approval from other people in the area that she could then use to buttress her viewpoint that was being made. So that kind of a smile is very different than the type of smile that he had. He would smile and stare right at her. That type of a style is a sort of a penetrating,
Intimidating.
intimidation was one of his favorite
Oh
techniques,
my
his
goodness. I
tactics. Yeah.
feel so bad for his
Humiliation.
wife.
Yeah.
By the way, if
Oh,
she's
come on.
listening,
We're not getting into that.
she needs to buy the book, Outwitting the Manipulator, because girlfriend, you need to get
Yeah.
out. It ain't gonna get better with him. No, siree, Bob.
Yeah, he almost got her too.
How could you be married to someone who says all women are retarded? By the way,
Oh my gosh.
it's just
Oh my
like
gosh.
he's the most retarded person.
Okay,
I've
all right. We're not going to get into that. And I don't agree with that. I think
okay, well,
he seems like a
clearly
very bright guy.
Oh no,
But
not at
he was
all.
not prepared for this debate. He was not prepared for her debating style. He certainly wasn't prepared with the level of information. He had a strategy that he was using, and he started it right in the beginning with the word inference. How can you draw inference to say that somebody was a patsy? And everything that she brought up about evidence, he returned to the word inference. Okay. The point of the hearing that they had in Utah. This is what a probative hearing is. You decide, is there enough inference, inferred information that we could go forward to a formal trial? That was the whole point of that's what it's the whole thing. And that's what she kept trying to say to him. And then he just poo-pooed it and so
Well,
forth.
that's the biggest takeaway from the whole thing, Dennis, is when she said, I can explain it to you, but I can't help you understand it.
Yes, absolutely right.
That's
Yeah,
gone
yeah,
viral
yeah,
for a
yeah,
reason
yeah.
because,
Yeah.
yeah.
One of the mini debates that they have is over this word exhaustive. What does it mean, exhaustive? Okay. And it was kind of cute. She was trying to explain why exhaustive information comes from inferences, and inferences then allow you to be, if it's overwhelming, that you can take it to the next level. Okay. And he stopped her and he said, Here, let me help you understand. And I thought, oh my God,
Oh,
what a thing to say to a female, to anybody, let alone her.
well,
But
yeah,
it's
he
used
was
all the time.
so condescending and
Yeah.
dismissive. And mind you, he shows you who he is. Like I watched some clips of him. I couldn't even believe she was gonna stoop so low as to debate him because if you watch some clips about him, he's a terrible human being. I mean, terrible, total
Okay.
misogynist.
All right.
So
Uh,
no, no,
that,
Dennis,
yeah.
he's a man who says all women are retarded is not coming into this debate thinking that she's smart or got something to say.
Yeah.
His attitude, we talk about mindset all the time,
Yeah.
Dennis.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's his mindset.
Yeah.
That's his
I don't
mindset.
disagree with you at
You
all.
can't
And
because he stated it as
I
a fact. That's his belief
listen.
and his mindset. There's
Uh,
nothing to disagree about.
okay. Talk about pathos, folks. Pathos with
Listen,
females. Okay, let me give you a male logos analysis of that.
oh,
You've
good
already talked
Lord.
about
Yeah,
the
why don't
difference
you
between,
mansplain me now? I can't
oh
wait.
boy.
Go ahead.
See, now this is the same tactic that got used. That that
I didn't say I
it
wasn't a
was
good manipulator.
there
I
you
never
go.
said that.
Both of them did this. They would set up the following commentary, whatever it was, by saying, "Oh, now you're going to mansplain." Now, she didn't say that, but that's what you said to me. So whatever
Well,
I
you're
say
the one who said,
next,
let me give you the male logos
yeah,
perspective
yeah, yeah.
because you're
The-
female in pathos.
you have already
By the
established
way,
the
let me
idea
just
that
tell
females
everyone
are more emotional and men are more logical about things. That's what you're
generally, I
establishing.
said, we
Generally,
all know
okay.
that. But for everyone who's listening, it's just because you have pathos does not mean you're wrong. And a man who's coming at you with logos will often try to make you wrong for the pathos. Pathos does not mean you're wrong. Okay.
Nor does it
So,
mean that you are right. Okay, so it plays both ways. It doesn't mean you're
yes,
right.
but
But this
it's
difference
often
between
framed as
this
wrong, Dennis.
this
So
well, so is pathos. It's oh, she's
that's
just
what I'm
being
talking about.
erratic and so forth. I know.
That's
Yeah,
you're saying what I just said,
yes,
Dennis.
I understand. I'm going to make a difference between pathos logos and let's those other two words because this happened during the debate. Inductive and deductive. Now, Robin mentioned it a couple of times, and we talk about it all the time. Inductive people like a lot of detail. Deductive people want it right quick up front, no detail. Okay. As we both noted, they both tried to use inductive by saying this, that, the other thing. It actually then became very quickly male deductive, female inductive. They're both capable of both. But now, when you add the inductive deductive to pathos logos, now you've got an analysis that I saw several times in the debate that said he was saying something definitively short, quick, deductive, which he was claiming was very logical. Her
Claiming.
reaction, her reaction was attempted, first of all, to be very logos to match it because she's very smart. She was logic, being able to be logical and very unemotional at first. But then it broke down as they started to argue, not debate, and disagree. It switched. He then became more inductive, trying to focus on detail. She became more accusatory and deductive. They switched styles several times during the debate. They both tried to stay with their style, and that's indicative of a lack of strategy, the lack of control over their particular strategy for the debate itself. That's why the debate sort of rambled all over the place.
Well, I, we were going to show clips, but I'm thinking that people have seen enough of the
Oh
clips.
boy, yeah.
And if, obviously, if you're listening to this, it's not going to be relevant to you unless you watched the debate. So,
Mhm.
you should go back and watch it. And I would watch it without the sound and analyze the
Yeah,
nonverbal.
interesting. Yeah.
So toward the there were many manipulative tactics in there. There was Dennis had mentioned word choice. You had a list of some word choices that that were meant to provoke.
Well, it's happened right in the very beginning. The opening statements that he had included words like conspiracy, invalidation, uh, the attempt through word choice for both of them, really. And this is a typical attempt in a lot of actual debates and
Was
arguments.
invalidation a tactic or a word choice? I don't think.
No, he was invalidating her claims. He was attempting to invalidate
Right,
her.
but we're talking about word choice. Like,
Yeah.
what are some other
He used the
words?
word invalidate. He used the
Oh,
word invalidate. That's what I mean. And conspiracy, that this was a conspiracy. Uh, and I thought a very specific word choice. This is an interesting thing because it's word choice combined with knowledge. You remember near the end of the debate, they were talking about the witnesses and he asked her if she could name the officer who was involved, immediate officer. And she paused, but not long, half a second. And she wondered, should she even acquiesce to that? Because he was questioning her like an
interrogator.
attorney. Yeah. Okay. And she didn't want to do that, but he kept doing it anyway.
By
He
the
wanted
way, I
to,
want to point out that was him trying to control the momentum
oh,
of the
absolutely.
conversation. And we talk about this in our podcast. It's done with questions.
Yes.
So
Yes.
being adept at handling the questions is how you thwart that control. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah. And she stopped it immediately. You're exactly right, Robin. He said, so the question was, quick question. We hadn't been talking about that at all. Out of quick question. What was the name of the officer who appeared on the scene or whatever it was? And she was shook by it for like a half a second. And she looked a little bit and said, gently, said, Bagley. So that wasn't enough for him. He wanted to press
No,
her
he
again.
wanted her to get an answer wrong. And that
Yes, of
it was
course. So,
hilarious because he was so underprepared. But this is how, okay, so this is what I want to point out. He is a manipulator. Okay, so in my opinion, he is absolutely a manipulator. Manipulator's mindset is win, lose, black
yes,
and white,
right.
scorekeeping. And
Yeah,
the reason why I came to the conclusion he's absolutely a manipulator is because that's where his brain went, scorekeeping. I need a win. I need a win.
yeah,
I need a win. And so
yeah,
he went on the offense
yeah,
with aggression, machine gunning questions at her.
yeah,
And you could tell
yeah,
sometimes, like, if she got it even slightly wrong or slightly, I think the seven charges, one of
yeah,
them, the
yeah.
word wasn't
A
exactly right.
word
And he
was
goes,
right.
he
Right.
was very quick to throw his head back, go,
Yeah,
ah,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
ha, like
And
I got you.
they
And
had
you
it on the
just could
screen.
see how badly he needed and
Yeah,
wanted to be able to find something. And so that's why I say, if I was his wife, I would run because life with
okay.
him must be hell on earth.
Okay, now back to the example I was trying to give.
Now back to our
As,
sponsor,
as an example of the tactic that
back
he
to our
used to catch
logos.
her with questions. What was the name of the officer? She hesitated a second, and that second in which she hesitated, he thought he had her. And all of a
Yes.
sudden,
He
whoops,
was
she
ready to
said,
celebrate.
all of a sudden, she said, Bagley. And he thought, whoa, wait a minute. This is how fast your brain works. He thought, right, uh, what was his first name? And we didn't, that's not the tone he used. And let me make an example of the tone. His tone was, what was his first name? Deliberative. But really, what he was saying in his mind, I think, but you hear in arguments, well, what was his first name? Like, you know
Yes,
that, but you know
right.
that. Okay. That's what he was thinking. But she got that too. She got that as well. That stopped his entire tactic. He tried to do it once again so she turned it on him and she said, well, what's your definition of evidence? And he had three things that he talked about with evidence. These are word choice things, but this is a tactic that is used by manipulators to put you on the spot that
Yes.
they think you will never know this detail that you want, and
Yes.
that then makes you retarded or whatever it is.
It puts
Yeah,
you, it rattles you and it makes it so you go more to that reptilian fight or flight reflex in your
yeah,
brain, which shuts off your executive functioning,
hmm,
which blanks you out so you can't think of anything. And so
yeah,
from then on, and that's the tactic, like how can I get her to stop accessing the executive functioning of her brain where she has all the answers?
yeah, yeah,
Intimidate her, make her stumble, make her fumble, make her wrong somehow.
yeah. And see, this is a
And it's
lot of
weak. It's
what.
weak, but it works all the time. Manipulators are very effective with it.
Okay, I was going to say this is a lot of what manipulators do, and they're very good at it. They're very good at combining and analyzing what you are if you're the target, whether you're inductive, deductive, or whether you're pathos or logos. So some efforts to use that tactic utilizes logic because men think that they can out logic. Men think they can out logic women. Okay, that's your statement. Okay, we'll go with that.
Did I
And they
say
ask,
that? That is
yeah,
not
oh
what I
yeah.
said.
See now the tactic that Robin is using is a specific word that I might have said or not said incorrectly. So the inference of the word, whatever I said, is what she's going to pick up on me
But
right
you
now.
can't be afraid to
That's
speak
what she's
up if
doing.
somebody misquotes you. Like what I just did, it's very important that you don't allow somebody to put words in your mouth or
Yeah,
put feelings on you.
yeah.
So, and Dennis isn't being manipulative right now. We're just splitting hairs. We do it all the time. Go ahead.
You're just splitting hairs. You
I
do it.
was splitting a
You
hair
do, yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to be misquoted. But anyway, go ahead.
Now I forget what I was going to say.
Oh, see, it worked.
Yeah, it works. It
Yay,
works all
me.
right.
I won.
Yeah, I'm not a very good
No, I'll tell you what
manipulator.
you were saying. You were saying that men
Oh,
try to,
oh yes, yes, yes. Well,
yes,
your thoughts earlier on in the conversation today was that men tend to be, or women tend to be very, very pathos and very emotional about things,
didn't
or
say that.
that's the way it's perceived, and that's the way he tried to make it happen. And men and manipulators often do that. They try to get an emotional reaction out of you, and
Yes,
once
I'd
you've got
say.
it, see,
Can I just
once they've
clarify
got
what my
it,
point was? Because
no,
I
God,
don't want the
see,
wrong point out
there's
there.
another tactic, interruption.
Just it's not a
Robin's
tactic.
good at that one.
It's not a tactic. And
Yes,
yes,
it
I
is.
am
Of
very
course it
good at
is.
it. I have a sign on my wall that says stop talking when I'm interrupting.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, but
Okay.
it's very important that I did not say anything about women being overly emotional or anything like that. I said that when women express emotion, it's
Yeah.
judged much more harshly than when a
Mhm.
man does, is what I said. So
Mhm.
go ahead. I didn't say that women were overly emotional.
Okay.
That shows your mindset.
I'm trying to be logical about this. I'm trying to give a logical explanation of the reason that emotion comes into any debate or any argument, any discussion, conversation. When emotion comes into it, and you compare that to the what drew that emotion out of it, it's very often a so-called or seemingly logical statement that the emotional person immediately reacts to and jumps in and says, "No, no, I didn't say that. That's not the word I use." Now that is a win for a manipulator because he or she is then controlling the momentum of the moment that that conversation is being had. So you not I mean male or female, whatever, whoever says it, you by showing some emotion immediately, this is why we talk about responding, not reacting, by showing an immediate emotional reaction, you are being controlled by that manipulator. So this is what I'm suggesting is allow the manipulator to make the statement, even though you believe it's incorrect. As soon as it's stopped, now you make the correction. The first thing you do is not answer the question, not respond to the statement. But then the first thing that you do is correct the word that you know was incorrect.
Didn't I
Then,
do
if you
that?
want to answer the question, fine. But you cannot allow an inaccurate statement, an inaccurate
Thank
piece
you.
of
That's
logos
exactly why
to
I
stay.
interrupted you. I cannot
Ah, no,
allow
no,
an
no, no.
inaccurate
No, no.
statement.
I said allow the manipulator to finish the statement. Okay,
Oh,
that gives
well,
no, well, that gives the impression that the manipulator is controlling the momentum of the moment, and you immediately thwart that as soon as the manipulation stops, because the first thing you do is correct a word that that person said.
yes, but since you're not a manipulator, it was okay to interrupt you in the middle of the thought. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's not a good example of how we're trying to give examples of people, how they
Yes,
should respond when they have a true
correct.
manipulator. Just let them say that. I don't care if they say it angrily or
Yes,
however, just
correct.
let them finish. They think they're controlling
Dennis is
everything.
right.
But what they're not controlling is the way that you are going to respond to that manipulative tactic. But when
Yes,
you
it's
jump in the
so
middle,
hard to do. And
when you
so
jump in, it's very hard. It's very hard. When you jump in the middle, that means, oh, gotcha. I gotcha. They
yes,
said something that, oh,
yes,
gotcha. They'll
so
they'll
true.
file that away and use it in
You
another
also have to
tactic.
control your nonverbal that entire time because
Yep,
your
you do.
nonverbal can
Yep,
respond,
yep, yep.
and that's also a win for them. Um, it's so not easy to do, but it is doable and it does get stronger with practice.
Hmm.
And obviously, it's exhausting to be in a relationship with
Oh,
a person like this because
oh,
it never ends.
constant. Yeah.
It's so constant, it never ends. I guarantee you that Rachel Wilson is in fight or flight 24/7. And I've been there. I did that kind of marriage. I
Who's Rachel Wilson?
That's Andrew's wife.
Oh, the what? Oh,
The
okay.
one
I'm
I'm
sorry. I
still
didn't
trying
know
to
that.
rescue. The
I
one I'm
didn't
trying
know
to
that.
rescue
Sorry
because I
about
know
that.
what her
I'm sorry about that,
I know what
Rachel.
her life's like. He publicly humiliates her. I mean,
Okay.
he literally tells her to shut up. Like, what?
Well,
Rachel, stop tolerating that. I know that's not the purpose of this podcast,
no,
but
no. Relationships are built on different
you
things.
need to get the book. Get
Yeah.
out. Get on out of there.
All
So
right.
life is so much better without a manipulator. Let's so what there are so many tactics in this discussion, this
Yeah.
fake debate,
Yeah.
um, being used. And it's a great example, especially toward the end, where the tactics are coming layering. So there's like
Yeah.
three tactics, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
invalidation, it's
Humiliation,
humiliation,
reframing the truth,
it's
reframing the evidence.
reframing the narrative.
Yeah, the
It's
narrative.
repetition, 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 repetition.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so many things. So if you've read our book and you know the 24 tactics, it would be a fun exercise for you to identify them and send us the clip. Tell us what you think. Uh, we realized this would be a 12-hour podcast if we played clips and analyzed the
Yeah.
nonverbal and the verbal that's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a lot to be learned. And I think that Candace Owens, regardless of whether you agree with her, like her, all of that aside, showed an incredible example of control and controlling, staying in control. And he did not make it easy. He did not make it easy. What did make it easy for her is his lack of preparation. And honestly, and then it gets scary when especially when you're a female, when you realize that you, just by correcting the facts or demonstrating that you know more, you got some vindictive backlash coming your way because that male ego is fragile. And
Well, that's what happened at the end of the thing. I thought his strategy from a debate coaching perspective, and I've coached many debates and I've been in debates and all of that, from a debate coaching perspective, his strategy was really pretty good. He started out by
Wait, what?
stating what,
Wait, oh boy, I was going to wrap up, but now you
yeah,
just slowed the roll.
no, I'm going to wrap up as
Oh,
well.
no, 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 no,
Yes.
no. How
See
do
how
you
she's interrupting me
define, yes,
before I
because
finish? She's
good, I
interrupting.
want you to define the word good.
Yeah.
Because we always talk about
I
effective.
was about to do that until you interrupted me, so let me finish the statement. This is what I'm talking about.
Okay,
You
all
have a
right, all
you have
right.
a pathos approach to what I'm trying to make as a logical statement.
Yes, I
Okay?
agree. I'm completely
Okay.
triggered by you saying his strategy was good
It
because
was
it
a
was
good
aggressive.
it was a good debate strategy. This was not a debate. That's why we started with that. As a debate strategy, it was good. He wanted to set the tone, he wanted to set the parameters, and she would not allow it. He stuck to it anyway, and he continued to be what you're saying, that sort of disrespectful, indignant kind of, I'm smarter than you are. The whole smile as we've analyzed. He continued to stick with that debate strategy. So it's a legitimate one in a real debate and in a conversation with someone who is not perhaps as prepared as she was. Her strategy was terrific. She came in prepared to use evidence, to use logic of all things, and that's what he thought he was using, to use logic, and she presented it very effectively with that Gish. He was overwhelmed by the Gish thing. He couldn't keep up with it because his strategy didn't include all of those things. So his strategy was a good one. She was just better with her strategy, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, I don't agree that it was a good strategy, but perhaps I don't understand enough about the debate world. I think being aggressive is, well, I guess, I don't know. I don't
He
know. I
tried to
don't know
be
enough to
he
comment on that.
he tried to be intellectually superior. He
Yes,
tried to this
but you
is
better be. If you're going to
yeah,
try to be, you better be
you
because
better be. You
that's what we
absolutely.
call high risk,
Yep, yep,
a high
yep.
risk bet.
So my
Yeah.
sense is that he did not really analyze her capability as effectively as he should have. Well, apparently all
No, I
women
think
are,
he got offered some. I think he's a wannabe. He doesn't have the audience. He doesn't, nobody even knew who he was when he signed up for this, or I never heard of him.
well, maybe he does. We don't know. I don't know,
Well,
but
we do know
I'm
because the
I'm only
numbers,
I'm
you
only
want
judging
facts,
I'm
you
only
want
judging
data,
the
you want
debate.
evidence, you look
I'm
at the
only judging the
viewers.
debate, Robin. I'm judging the debate,
I
not
know,
his. I don't know
Dennis.
who he is or where he. I don't know a whole lot about her either. So, but they both came
Okay.
in with different styles, and I thought his style just didn't work. Her style worked a little bit better. His strategy was not as good as hers. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. And that is important and valid. And yeah, I guess I can't be completely as calm and unbiased as you because this guy's an a-hole.
Okay, all right. We're not going there. All right.
He just is,
Yeah,
Dennis.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just anybody who
yeah.
says all women are retarded needs to
I can
be.
agree. I may agree or disagree with the statements that he or she made, but that I'm not going to describe them the way you're describing them. I'm trying to be a little bit
Well, hopefully
more
people will find it
logos than that.
interesting to hear both perspectives.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I may agree or disagree with what he or she is. That's not what we're talking because that's a whole other tactic, changing the narrative so that we can talk about something different. So anyway, you folks get it. You get it.
I just want to go on record first acknowledging that if anybody's
Okay.
in a relationship with a man like that, you need to get out. I think that's
Okay.
important.
Well, the old
Okay,
clock on the
so
wall tells us it's about time for us to wrap up. So we hope that this has been
thank you for
somewhat
listening.
informative for you folks, really, because we tried to do something a little bit different today because of the nature of the topic and the immediacy of this particular event. So hopefully this was somewhat. If you look at it again, watch and listen to the debate again. If it happens again, listen for these techniques, these tactics and techniques that we're talking about. See if you can hear them, see them, because they were on display during this so-called debate. And you should be able to spot them now somewhat better after our conversation, we hope. So in the meantime, though, this was a special event for outwitting the manipulator. We don't always go into this kind of a thing. So we want
And
to
remember, you can't change the manipulator, but you can change the outcome.
thank you very much for that, Robin. Would you say that again, Robin? That's such an important thing.
You cannot ever change the manipulator, but you can change the outcome. And we
It's a,
can help you. Go to outwitinrealtime.com. Please also like, comment, and follow. I never say that. Dennis and I fund this out of our own pocket, but we need you to start. There's like 30,000 of you now. We need you to start liking and commenting so that you register online without us having to say that over and over and over again. Because that, frankly, to me feels manipulative. And I don't want to have to do that. So I would ask you if you're enjoying our content and you want us to continue, show us by being public about your approval.
okay.
All right.
All
Thanks,
righty.
Dennis. That was fun.
It was great. And thanks to all of you for who sat with it and you were tolerant of it. We really appreciate it. So until next time, I'm Dr. Dennis Becker. She, of course, is Robin Golinski. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.